All right, so to test now this class, let's go back to the actual test. And now you see that we have an error here. And what we're going to do is simply say private and then Stripe API and then Stripe API. And let's annotate this with @ and then mock, right? So now we can mock this, mockito, annotations.init mock, say this. And now right here, you see that we can now assert on our mock. So what we need first is the actual argument capture, right? So let me go back and you see that this guy right here. So this is actually request options and this is a map, right? So what we're going to do is the following. So we're going to say that this will be an argument capture of and then a map and oops, not math but map, and the key will be string and then object. There we go. So let me import the actual map. Oops, there we go. And let's simply say and let's simply name it as map argument capture equals to argument capture for class and then map dot and then class, just like that. And we also need one for the request options. So argument capture and then this will be request options from stripe.net. There we go. And then options argument capture equals to argument capture for class, and there we go. Now let's simply say then, right, and import then. So import static and from bdd mockito and then stripe API dot and then should dot and then create. There we go. And now the actual map will be map argument capture dot and then capture, and for the options argument capture dot and then capture, just like that. And this throws an exception, so let's actually say add to method signature. There we go. And let's actually now get the actual values that we've captured. So map argument capture dot and then get and then value. There we go. So map, or actually request and then map. And if I go back, so right here we have all of these to assert. So let me simply put this right here so you can see what I'm doing. There we go. Oops. There we go. And now I'm going to say assert and then that, and then import assert for jCore API request mapping, or actually request map dot and then I think let's actually search for key set, right? So key set and then dot and then length, or actually has and then size. Yes, has size of 4, right? So we know that there are 4 keys. So amount, currency, source, and description. And now we can assert on every single key. So assert and then that, right? So we want to assert that. So right here, so let's simply say request map and then dot and then get and then key, so amount. There we go. And then dot is equal to, right? And right here, so this amount. So let's simply say amount. There we go. Let me duplicate this a couple of times, or actually 4 times, and we want currency. Oops, there we go. And this will be currency. And what did I call it? Let me rename this to currency. Currency, and this to description. There we go. And then description, or actually currency. This will be source. This is source, or actually card source. And then description. And then this will be description. There we go. If I now remove that, you can see that we actually are asserting on the map. Finally, we need to assert on the actual options, which will be trivial. So right here, I'm going to say that assert, and then that, and then options, and then dot, and then get value. Or actually, let's extract this to a variable first, and then options. And we could actually get a few things, right? So we could get the API key, so on. But what I'm going to do here is simply say that dot, and then is, and then not no, right? Because I really, don't care about this API key, right? I don't care about it, right? I just want to make sure that we pass the actual options inside, right? Because there is no way for us to test whether this API key does work or not, and this should be tested when we take the application into an environment, right? So there we go. Now let's go ahead and actually run this test and see that it works. Hopefully it works, hopefully. So let's give that a go, and there we go. So we have an error, and actually yes, so we need to mock this bit right here because it's throwing a null pointer exception. So let's go ahead and actually do that. So let me go back to the test. And what we're going to do here is simply say given, and then we want the actual API, right? Dot, actually here, so dot, and then create, right? And I simply say for now any map, and then any right here dot will return, and then new, and then charge. There we go. And I want to extract this charge, and then simply say charge, and charge dot set, and then paid equals to true. And this should not work. So let me simply do a final assertion here. Assert that, and what we want to assert is this, right? So this guy here. So the result of everything. So there we go. So right here. So card payment charge dot get, or actually dot is card debited, right? So we're going to simply say assert that, and then dot is true. There we go. So make sure that you add some comments around all of this just to make sure that it's nice and neat, and when someone is looking at your test, they see that what is going on, right? So you saw that I actually forgot to mock this bit here, and this is what we've just done. Now let's go ahead and run the test once more, and hopefully it should work. There we go. So you can see that our test did work. And let me run this in or actually with coverage, and go back to the actual class. If I collapse this and this, and you can see that this is tested, right? So this is tested and this isn't. So the exercise for you next is to test that when the API throws an exception, we simply test this block right here, which is red. Join me in the next one.